What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 11 of Bettin N Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Roscoe, and I'm not even going to get into it, but what an absolutely amazing weekend. I'm sure we all documented all over Twitter. It was all over every social media. So again, thank you to all of you guys who cheered Howard on, cheered the group on, and everything. We greatly appreciate it. And it was just an absolute hell of a time. But obviously, that will be a different show, which I will get into as I continue on. But yeah, just an absolutely amazing time. Thank you to all the guys that made it possible, made everything a great time. Greatly appreciated. Thank you to everybody. If you are brand new here or you find yourself coming back on the regular and you aren't subscribed, go down below or in the bottom right hand corner right here. Please hit subscribe. It helps us out tremendously, and you'll never miss a video that we put out. And it lets YouTube know that this is a show that a lot of people would like to watch. So please, it helps us out a lot. Please hit subscribe. And while you're down there, please hit that like button. It does the same exact thing for YouTube's sake. It helps the algorithm know that this is a show that a lot of people really want to watch. So please hit that like button. It would mean an absolute lot to us. And like I said, scrolling down on the bottom, you'll see that the next show will actually be tomorrow, and that will be the show covering the NHC and everything that happened over this past weekend. It's an absolutely amazing time. Just a lot of great stories and great tales, plus some strategy and how in qualifying for the NHC and some strategy to play the NHC, because there were some good strategies and there are some not so good strategies, which Matt Miller and Howard both have some very strong opinions on. You don't want to miss tomorrow's show. For our audio listeners, please go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor, and please rate, review, and subscribe over there. Those are our three main audio platforms that we use in all of like I said, the podcast world. So please, if you are an audio listener, please rate, review, and subscribe over there. As for our power picks, me, Pete, and Paul, without the boss, we absolutely smashed it this weekend. Myself, I gave out a $30 win bet on a 3-1 shot with the exact underneath, paid almost $200. And then Pete and Paul absolutely knocked it out of the park with their power picks as well. Howard, if you're part of the annual subscription power picks that we ran at the beginning of the year, Howard gave out a $16.50 pick 5 that hit for $350. So congratulations if you followed along with that one. An absolutely tremendous feat. We absolutely hammered it. And it's only $4 a month. So it's one of the cheapest out there. It's one of the best out there. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Please go to patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast to get your power picks sent to you every Saturday. And again, thank you to our sponsors who make these shows possible. BetUS is a fantastic sports betting casino platform. They offer 200 live games a day with 300, 400 different props to bet. If you are depositing money, please use our code RACING3H and you'll get a free 125% back if you deposit $100 or more. That link is in the description as well. And again, for our great partners over at Crownsway Racing, if you want any knowledge on Series E or any of the horses, please let Anthony Rollo know at crownswayracing.com or through their Twitter at Crownsway Racing. Their website is also in the description below. Now, like I said, guys, this is just an absolutely amazing show to come up here. And also, sorry, I forgot one more thing. If you go to our, we have a great website denoting everything about us and everything going on with the channel. Please go to hhhracingpodcast.com for more information. So, like I said, we have an absolutely amazing show, and we got the youngest guy out of the entire crew to come help us out tonight. Both Charlie and Patrick are out with some obligations. Obviously, Charlie's school comes first, and Patrick's out with stuck at work. So, like I said, we got the young gun himself. I'm sure many of you know and love him. But like I said, this show is going to be absolutely amazing because I'm sure you can see by the title, there's going to be an absolutely great opportunity for all of you. Everyone loves March Madness. It is here, and it starts on Thursday. We're so excited for it here on the Bettin N Boozin podcast. We have I'll talk about more about the specifics later, but we have a bracket pool and a free $100 that's up for grabs. It's completely free to enter. All you need is an ESPN account to be able to join the group, and all of that information is in the description. But again, at the end of the show, I will bring up all the specifics that you'll need to do. But without further ado, let's get into this. I'm going to bring on my co-host right now. like I said, the young gun, the man that steps up when I need some help, the man himself from the Saratoga Special, Paul Halloran. Paul, how you doing today, my friend?
Hello, Kyle. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can never be better after whatever the hell happened this weekend. Just an absolutely amazing time that we all had.
Howard's already commenting in the chat that it's past my bedtime. I'll have him know this is my third Zoom since 6 p.m. tonight, and I have a 1,000-word magazine story to write when we're done. So there.
So no going to bed anytime soon for the
No,
man
not
himself.
tonight.
Hey, but there's Howard right there saying it's past your bedtime. Michael Austin, hello. Thanks for joining the show. Greatly appreciate it. Racing Downwind, it was great to meet you again in person. He hung out with us all of, I believe, Saturday, if I remember that correctly. But always betting and boozing, but no losing around here. So Racing Downwind, thank you so much for joining the show. Paul, I think we should just get into it now just because we have such great racing, or some great racing, I should say, to go over. As some of them are very difficult for the Saturday card at Gulfstream Park, but also that when, as I said, at the end of the show, we can go over the Bettin N Boozin pool for the tournament bracket. So I'm going to bring up the PPs right now and the entries as I bring them up right now. My computer continues to lag. That's great. Okay, so the first race is a maiden special weight for 84,000. Obviously, we don't have any of the morning line favorite or morning lines out right now, but my guess would be morning line favorite is going to be the number 2 Clever Thought for Irad Ortiz Jr. and Todd Pletcher. And as I bring up our picks right now, Paul, you were going with the number 2 Clever Thought. It was most likely, like I said, going to be the morning line favorite.
Yeah, I tried to do a little pedigree work in this race, Kyle, with limited time, and this horse, the Dam, and one of the siblings have won on turf. If you look at it quickly, you might say it's more of a dirt pedigree with quality road by a Ghost Zapper mare, but as I say, puzzling, the Dam won on turf, and one of the Sibs won on turf. They ran the horse on the Tapeta the first time. Who knows? Was it just to get a race in? Was it because they wanted to run long and that race was long? But it's kind of an indication going 1.70 for the first time out. Pletcher obviously thought that this horse was a distance horse right out of the chute. So that encourages me that he will likely get the 1 1/8. We could never be sure. The 4, who we'll talk about, Clement's horse, did run 1 1/8 last time, so there's a bit of a lesson there. So yeah, I went with the 2 on top. I did use Clement's horse. Again, there's one turf winner in the family, and Kyle, the Dam of Missionaire Divinite. 1 out of 2 at Suffolk Downs, my beloved Suffolk Downs. So there was no possible way I wasn't picking that horse in the mix. Obviously, Clement has good numbers putting on blinkers. He has good numbers with this type of layoff. He has good numbers second start. So that was the thinking there. And I believe I threw in the first-time starter, Jonathan Thomas. This horse's Dam Mango Diva was a Group 2 winner on turf in Europe and also had a sibling to win on turf. Thomas with first-time starters on turf is 16%, which is just a little lower than his overall first-time percentage. So those are the 3 I landed on. Interestingly, Kyle, as you'll see when we bring up the tickets, I thought both of the also eligibles have a chance here. So you're going to have to kind of pay attention to what happens. But I think both, I guess it would be the 10 and the 11 once the numbers come out. I think both of them would warrant a look if either or both draws in.
I completely agree with you. And as you'll see in my ticket, I also included the also eligibles. These 2 are very live. These, just the buyer numbers alone, are a lot better than most of the field in this race. I mean, 2 back, this horse ran an 83 and then gets to the 1 1/8 and just doesn't quite get there at the end for Pletcher. And then the Clement horse stretched out to a 1 1/8 with Leparoux, of all people, and was able to only lose by a neck. So I completely agree that those two are live and that the bettors are going to have to pay attention, but you will see on my ticket as well. I believe it's actually the 11 and the 12, if I'm not mistaken, are the two also
1,
eligible.
2, 3, 4, 5,
if my
6,
math is good.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Right. So we'll have to adjust my pick 5 play accordingly.
Yep. I did. So just making sure, because I actually like the 10 a little bit as a price.
And if you want to, try to read the jockey tea leaves, Irad rode the 2 the last time and the 11 and lands on the 2. So, they're both Pletchers. One's a Rapoli. But, you would have to think that, he had his pick here.
Yep.
And he hasn't made a lot of wrong decisions at Gulfstream thus far, winning at a outer-worldly 27% in the championship meet.
Yeah, last time I checked, that was pretty good. Last time,
oh my God,
especially at the championship meet, you're 100% correct that you just can't. Seems like Irad can't do anything wrong. Dating back to that, insane 7 in a row.
I was there.
That he had. I was there. Yep, I remember that now that we talked about it, but. Yeah, I mean, look, I read, for Pletcher and this like that, he's going to have his pick, and especially in a race like this with these maidens. And I agree with you that the synthetic line is a little weird, but I mean, going 25-1 on a maiden special weight, especially during the championship meet on the Tapeta of all surfaces, that's pretty damn slow, considering that you get times mostly in like the 23-4 category on the maximum, maybe like 24-2 on the Tapeta, and this horse still only lost by a length. I mean, this horse definitely, if this horse can take a step forward and take to the turf fine, I think this horse could definitely be pretty tough. Like I always say, the best place for a horse to improve is off that second start. So I completely agree with you. I think the 2 is going to be very live for Pletcher and Rapoli. Who would have thought that? But Missionaire, I also have in second. You took the words right out of my mouth. Another really cold pace. They went 115-3. Granted, it was at Tampa Bay Downs on a 25 special weight, but that is extremely slow. Even for that Tampa Bay turf course, which plays, deep and kind of slow at a lot of the times. I love the blinkers. The equipment change for Clement, as you stated, the stats are always so good for Clement and these types of guys, but he does have really good numbers with blinkers on and first-time blinkers. I think this horse can take a step forward off his second start. And like you said, Clement always had, but obviously a colt by Noble Mission, and like you said, the dam, it's always going to be bred for distance. So I like that horse in second for sure, based on everything you said. And I'm going to actually go with hopefully what is a price. It's Be Well for Calumet and Jack Sisterson. This horse has been working on turf its entire work tab. I mean, he's working decently, especially the last one at Prairie Meadows. Threw him at a mile at Gulfstream Park back in December. Ran pretty well. OK Boomer, as I bring up, OK Boomer came back to win the optional claiming, and then ended up just losing to a dude in Colorado in a really nice, run well race for Pletcher. So, I mean, if I look at, the next buyer figures, a lot of these horses are the Hardy Choice regressed. If you remember that horse, Leperoux could not hold him. He was super green in the stretch in this race, but OK Boomer, Giovanino, Giovannino, I think that's what it is. More Than Tough increased buyers, and then even the bottom horses increased buyers. So 2/3 of the field of that field increased their buyers next time out. And granted, I know this is off a little bit of a layoff for Jack Sisterson, who always doesn't have the best numbers coming off these decently long layoffs. But I think this horse, especially if this last work is any indication to me, this horse could definitely be a price in this race, and definitely could pick up the pieces if they go extremely fast up front. And
the horse is bred, Kyle, extremely well. He's a Calumet horse. Now, Jack Sisterson used to train exclusively for Calumet, who's still works for them, but has a public stable. This is an English channel out of an AP Indy mare. The extra distance, as you point out, looks like it will suit him. First time Lasix, which doesn't hurt. The works are at Palm Meadows, Kyle.
Palm Meadows, sorry.
Todd
What did I say?
Pletcher's.
I say Prairie
You said
Meadows.
Prairie Meadows,
Well,
which is
close.
understandable. It's
Not even
about
close.
2,300 miles west. But as you
Jeez.
point out, a steady work tab. That's the same. That is the same place. Sisterson has another horse in this race.
Yep.
He has the 7, I believe.
Yep. Correct.
Who I really don't like. Not a lot of turf pedigree, and Sisterson off the Sisterson. If Maiden turf roots off a trainer switch is 0 for 6.
Yep. And
so, but the other horse, a lot of these horses work at Palm Meadows. That's Pletcher's. That's Pletcher's winter base. That's where Kyle. That's where Tapper Trice has been stable for the winter.
Yes, he is.
This is our first broadcast.
Yep.
It's the Tampa Bay Derby. And Howard, in the midst of all the bedlam Saturday in Las Vegas, did take the time to call me so we could vicariously celebrate together after the Tapper Trice command performance in the Tampa Bay Derby. Let's keep him healthy. The hardest thing with a future bet is getting him in the gate.
Yep.
He now has the points to get in the gate. And I love the fact that everyone is saying he's too slow. He's never going to break. You don't win the Derby that way. You know what? They can overbet him on Derby Day all they want, Kyle.
Yep, because it doesn't matter for you, right? But I mean, I heard of a horse who works really well that came running from the back last year in the Derby.
Yeah.
So, I mean, definitely, a help in the gate would definitely help this horse by any means. But look, this horse is very talented. Everyone saw it at the Tampa Bay Derby. This horse broke last by 3 or 4 lengths and made it just all up in the stretch, going wide and absolutely swooping by everybody. People are going to complain about the field.
Learning.
They're going to complain about everything. Yep.
That's his 3rd race, and Pletcher is doing the smart thing. He's putting another race into him. He's going to run him in the bluegrass. This horse will get better with experience. And is the gate thing a concern? Yeah, but I mean, I'm less concerned at 60 to 1 than I would be at 3 to 1.
That's right. Yeah. Especially, second choice or whatever, depending on who gets in the Derby, of course. But like you said, hopefully he stays healthy because, like you said, the hardest part is getting in the gate. And now he's earned that right to get in the gate as long as
now we got to get him out of the gate.
Yeah. That's right. That's awesome.
And the other thing is, it's the Tappets,
mm-hmm.
A lot of them are psychotic. You know what I mean? This is not anything unusual. But I'll tell you what, Mr. Pletcher has had more Derby starters than anyone.
That's
he, as I tweeted the other day, he has 8 weeks to figure it out. And he's going to have Louis Saez on him, who is one of the best gate riders going. Yep. So I'm going to enjoy Howard and I are going to enjoy it at least until we stop enjoying it.
That's right. Until hopefully the Derby, if it does come to you guys stop enjoying it. Hopefully you guys just keep enjoying the ride until, hopefully Pimlico. But again, I'm just going to go over some comments here before we move on to the next race. Yeah. Charles B, Chalkfest NHC, I agree, which is probably why I made a decent amount of money at the NHC, because I'm just betting doubles with chalks. But there were a few big bombs that ultimately ruined me in the last chance tournament and the consolation tournament. But yeah, for a lot of the time, I mean, it's always going to be chalky on days like that. But there's definitely had to have the prices when they came in. There weren't too many for sure. Val Place, thanks so much for joining the show. Greatly appreciate you coming to join us here. Racing Downwind, yep, absolutely great time to meet you again after we met at the Breeders' Cup. But yeah, absolutely great to meet you again and have you sit with us all day long, basically being Howard's good luck charm on Saturday. So greatly appreciate it. D-Rest says Greystone's going to wake up for Wilson and Atfield. I mean, this horse maybe benefits with the blinkers on, but this horse has Tapper Trice syndrome. It's just absolutely slow out of the gate. So, I mean, Atfield's, they got the trainer upgrade last time, didn't run at all, and now he's getting an extra 16th of a mile. I mean, he's going to have to break with the blinkers on, but this is one of those races that, if these top 2 don't run very well, this race is completely wide open. Vale Place on Twitter, I'm sure you saw it. Yes, I am standing next to Howard, and Howard's either just really short or I actually am tall. I am tall. I'm 6'4". So, standing next to Howard, I love to make fun of him, especially on Twitter when everyone was going after him. I couldn't stop. I could not do it. But let's move on to the next race, Paul, as we move on. Is a beautiful 6250 claimer on the dirt at a mile. Only the best racing here on Saturday that we're covering on this show. But as I bring up the Equibase here, a full field of 10 for a mile on the dirt. I would assume the more than my favorites is going to be maximum 3-1 or minimum 3-1 in this race. It just looks completely wide open to me. If I had to guess, I would probably either take the 5 Moped Dennis or maybe the 2 AstroTurf. It's really kind of close, honestly. But as I bring up the PPs, Paul, you are actually going with one of those horses I mentioned. You're going with the 2 AstroTurf.
Yeah, I went with that. And as you said, Cal, 6250. This horse is 2 for 24. He ran a good second, or an okay second. The horse was a synthetic specialist, and obviously Gulfstream has the synthetic. That's where he was running. He seemed to run much better going onto the dirt for the first time. He was 15-1 in that race. A 66 buyer is kind of in the mix here. I think this race is pretty awful. Pretty awful. But I guess I'm defaulting to Tyler a little bit. I went with Tyler and Louis in this race. Someone put in the comments about both Dennis Moped and Royal Kitten. I can't tell you I have a strong opinion in this race. I just thought that even at 2 for 24, that second race back, puts this horse pretty much right in the mix. Not above everyone, but in the mix.
I completely agree. This is the horse I have in second for Gaffleon. I mean, like you said, that 2 race back, even though it was into a pretty hot pace, this is going 45. You watch that replay. I forgot what the horse's name was. Ensign Parker with Rosario putting on the masterclass ride that he has been doing at Gulfstream Park, but he went out by 5 or something like that, and then tied towards the end. And that was the day that IRAD won 8 in a row or whatever insanity that he produces on a daily basis down at Gulfstream. But yeah, I mean, look, they went super fast up front, and he was able to pick up the pieces, just be second best to a pretty decent horse at this level at rhymes like dimes. But I like I said, I have this horse in the mix as long as I think this horse might need to be returning to this form a little bit, but being a little bit closer. He doesn't have Leparoux on, so as you and I both know, that probably will happen with Tyler. He won't be taking 10 lengths back, as me and you like to joke about all the time. But this horse is definitely in the mix just based on numbers alone. And I mean, this back form definitely fits. I actually have the 5 on top, Moped Dennis. The one thing that concerns me about this horse, there is not a whole lot of speed in this race. And when I handicap these types of races, I always like to look for the best front runners in the race first, because a lot of these horses, you'll find out, they just frankly don't like to pass other horses. And I mean, this horse ran 7 furlongs last time, but my only concern is that this race was 6 days ago at this point. It will be about 12 to 13 days when this will come race day, but it's coming off a very short layoff. I looked up the trainer stats for Daniel Hertak off the 8 to 14 days rest, 7 for 44. So about, in that 15% range or so. So it's not horrible. So, but like I said, that's always a concern when horses come off that short of rest. And as you look through his form, he's never really had to do that before. It usually gets about a month rest. This is the last time that he had to do it, and he lost by 20, frankly. But that was all the way back in early 2022. So, like I said, I just think this horse hits a good trip. If this horse is ready off the very short layoff, I think I really like this horse. And when you get Sayas on, a horse in the front can never complain, really. And I know you have this horse in third.
Yeah, and I now that I'm looking at the PPs, I think I meant to pick him second, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I do like him, I think a little better than the 6. I agree with you on the trip. I think he is going to be very tactical here. That's obviously one of the concerns with AstroTurf, although as you discussed, AstroTurf promises to be a little closer to the front with Mr. Gaffleone on board. I also did throw the 6 in a little bit. The 6, won in the non-winners a 2 condition last time. And then when they moved up to 3, they jumped the class price-wise. They went up to 12.5. And, I didn't watch the race, to be honest with you, but it looks like he wasn't ready when the gate opened. Head was turned at the start. Didn't run a step. But the trainer is winning at a relatively high percentage at this meet. The jockey is not, although the jockey did ride this horse to one of his 2 career wins. So, Hey, look, anyone who wants to take anyone in this race, and I'll be saying the same thing when we get to the closing leg, by the way.
Yep. I mean, trust me, I will as well. And anyone that knows my feelings on the Tapeta sprints at this place, you'll know that I will say that I will have absolutely no goddamn idea. Good English, Kyle, but that's just what it comes down to. And I actually have Royal Kitten in third that Charles being mentioned earlier. The last race is realistically what I'm looking at. This horse was wide. He was super wide. Like, it got pushed out to about basically in the 7th or 8th path on the top of the stretch and still finished well. Ray Vaughn, I'll play the replay just to get a little bit of an idea here with how wide he was. He's the 6 right here. And you'll see if I fast forward, he's about 3 wide coming here. And you'll see this 3 is going to run with him and push him super wide. I believe this is Irad again, sitting on the 7 here, who's getting a dream trip right off the speed of Ensign Parker, who, as we've discussed before, he's a rabbit. So he's just wide. He comes on late, but it's just no match for the horse that's sat close to the lead. I mean, like I said, I'm trying to find any which way I can to try and get maybe a little bit of a price in these races. This horse, he comes flying at the end, but still holds on for second. I mean, like I said, it's just a wide trip for Peter Walder. He's putting the blinkers back on, so maybe this horse can get closer. Last time this horse had blinkers on was under Safi Joseph's care and was actually at 3-5 and lost, but he was up close right to the next to the pace. Just got second by a length to a really deep closer in that replay. So, like I said, I like that the horse is going to be a little bit closer. I like that the horse, hopefully with the blinkers on, he's going to be a little bit closer, and he can hopefully get that first jump. And then this is one of the only horses that's shown that he can pass other horses. So, like I said, hopefully a little bit of a price. Hopefully I can catch that in the back end. But like Paul said, I mean, this race is completely up for grabs, as like Paul said again, the last race will be as well. Vail Place showing love for Paul. Paul's the favorite out of the whole group. I'll take offense to that. It's okay.
That's a wise person right there.
It's one of our most astute viewers, as Paul likes to say. Yes. But Pete is taking the hiatus for tonight. He will be back on for Thursday's show, where you guys are covering the Oaklawn, the Essex and stuff, right? I believe on Thursday.
Yeah. This is kind of one of those no Derby preps to speak of this weekend. So it's kind of a, not an off weekend, but nothing all that compelling. So Uncle Howard has decided we'll go back to Oaklawn. So back to Oaklawn we go.
That was decided at Sunday night or Saturday night on the casino floor, by the way. Just but everyone
then I'm sure it was an educated decision, Pete.
Always. But Charles B definitely come up tough to handicap for sure. Michael Austin Moped Dennis did just race, as we touched on. He raced. It'll be an 8-day ago race at that point, but we'll see how it goes. And I agree with Vail Place. Tyler is an upgrade over Leparoux. But Paul, I'm going to switch to our next picks right now. And how do you know that we're going with the same exact top 3 in this turf sprint, as I like to call it, the Smoke and Jay division? And not to mention Smoke and Jay's old rival is probably going to be the morning line favorite, as I bring up the Equibase here. It is going to be the number 2 Karatari for Irad and Brian Lynch. And like I said, Paul, as I bring up the PPs now, what do you like about Karatari in this race?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Kyle. I took a look at this race quickly, and I said, well, Karatari's got to be a stick out. And then I looked a little closer, and I said, geez, horse for course.
Yep.
The horse has just run some very good races. The last race, nothing wrong with the last race at Gulfstream. But then you go down to Big Invasion, and I started out saying, oh, this is a single race. And then you go down to Big Invasion, and you take out the Kentucky Downs over the hills to grandmother's house we go, where some horses just don't take to it.
Yep.
And this horse was running like a monster at Saratoga. Now, look, I know the Grade 3 and the Mahoney Stakes. I get it. But still, this horse for Clement was just chewing up ground and, at his level was unbeatable. So, using Pete's what Pete likes to talk about, if you just take out that one race, and, that's a Kentucky Downs. It's 6.5 at Kentucky Downs is a route, let's face it.
Yep,
right?
I agree.
So you take that out and, you trust Clement coming off the layoff. Why wouldn't you? And you look at what this horse has done at this distance, okay? 5 out of 6 wins with a second. And all of a sudden, my strategy of singling Caratari didn't look like such an educated strategy. Now I'll say this, if you're playing a caveman with the race we just talked about and the race we're about to talk about, you might have to pick between one of these two. I would be very surprised. I know, yes, it's free. Yes, I Am Free did beat Caratari fair and square last time. So that's another horse to consider. But I still think I would take one of those two and try to whittle it down to one of them.
Yep, and that's exactly what I ended up doing, as you'll see later on my ticket. Basically, I mean, I definitely trust Clement in everything he does. There's nothing I'm going to take away from what he's done in the realm of horse racing, but I'm going with Caratari for Lynch. This horse is just last year in the middle of the year. This horse was also completely running lights out. If you go back, actually early last year, this was the race, the Janus last year in December, the start of the championship meet. I'm really interested to see what happened, why they took Saez off of Caratari, and that's Saez actually jumps all the way to the 12, which we can look at in a little bit, but I'm really interested to see why Irad gets. I know Irad rides a lot for Brian Lynch, but when he can, but Saez rode this horse like an absolute gem in these two races back here, both against, as you can see right here, both against Jay at Gulfstream and at Pimlico. But this horse, like I said, this horse has a race in him already this year. Ran a decent second, but again, like you said, beat on the square by Yes I Am Free, who had the lead the whole way. Caratari runs his best races on the lead, so I'm hoping from the 2-hole, Irad's going to have no choice but to completely send and hopefully can clear, even though Yes I Am Free is extremely fast just to his outside in the 4, in the 6, excuse me. But Big Invasion, I agree. Like I said, the only thing people are going to look at is the layoff off of September 10th. But I mean, which he's never had to do before. But this horse, like you said, was running absolutely lights out from early last year all the way through Saratoga. And like you denoted, the Kentucky Downs 6.5 coming up and down is a route basically. It plays like a mile, and obviously it's only one turn, but I agree with you. And not to mention that's the race that Howard hates to talk about, as that one was won on the front end by one timer. So, Big Invasion, the race held together up front, didn't really have a chance to close past the leaders. But I think if this horse is ready for Clement, which Clement's great off the layoff, and his workouts denote that he could be ready. This horse definitely could be tough, but I completely agree with Paul that both these horses are going to be in that even money type of range. Maybe not so far down as 6 to 5, but they might be like 7 to 5, 8 to 5, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, somewhere in there. And if you're playing a caveman, it makes realistically no sense to play both of them the two of them in a ticket. You either you pick one or the other. And in my case, as you'll see later, I ended up going with Caratari. Just the way the Gulfstream turf has been playing, especially in these sprints, I like horses that are a little bit more front forward. But Big Invasion could just be better than everybody, and that's also a very great possibility if he's ready off the layoff. But
Kyle, I will say, if you're gonna probably get a better price on Yes I Am Free.
Yep.
Then you should, because of the presence of those two. And if you're looking for the now horse, I don't know what this horse enjoyed the layoff, that's for sure, because the horse ran horrifically in his last two starts of 22, didn't
Yep.
run after July 3rd, and hats off to Laura Cazares, because this horse, that's a good comeback race, just holds on in an optional claimer where he obviously was not in for the tag, and then just, as they say, beats Karatari on the fair and square
Yep.
in the Gulfstream Park Turf Sprint. So, if you're going ABC, this guy's got to be on your B team, I think.
I completely agree with you. And like you said, in a race like this, if you're playing ABC, Paul's a lot more into the ABC tickets than I am. But, maybe you make like Big Invasion, maybe you make Karatari, like if you like Big Invasion more, maybe you make Karatari a C and you just play AC. But then Yes, I Am Free, like you said, especially if he can clear, this horse could be dangerous on the front end, as he's showed multiple times before. Howard says, give me Big Invasion all day. He'll be ready. The boss says Big Invasion, which means he's probably got something from Miguel Clement, would be my guess, to say that Big Invasion is ready to go. But like I said, you got to pick one or the other, and Howard's going Big Invasion. I'm going Karatari, and Paul is kind of in between the two of them. But like I said, the whole strategy points to picking one and going with it. Charles B likes Warriors Pride off the back of the class and the layoff. I mean, look, this horse is going to be another one coming off, but for a trainer that's raced once, this horse might be, is that trainer brand new, basically?
I would think so.
I would think so as well. I mean, this horse, when I look at horses like this, I think of, if I love Karatari and Yes, I Am Free beat him on the nose, but they were right with each other. If those two are going to do something better than a horse like Warriors Pride, why would I mean, Warriors Pride could maybe get clear, but I don't think there's any way in a race like this, especially with Yes, I Am Free out front. Karatari's not necessarily.
That is the second lifetime starter for Ruben Sierra.
Yeah. And the first time he actually got third. So hats off to him. But yeah, I'm gonna look somewhere else for my speed of the speed horses, especially coming off a long layoff at Colonial Downs, which is another, I keep saying it, but that's another race that Jay raced in, was the DeHaas Stakes at Colonial. But like I said, I just like the other horses that are going to do, that are going to be on the front end better. And that's just my thing. Michael Austin says he was a Big Invasion was his top pick, but he doesn't like Rosario. Rosario has not been riding the best right now, and that's pretty fair to say, as I believe he's winning at 9% right now for the championship meet. So he's got to climb out of it. But look, Big Invasion could easily just be the best horse in this race, and that's what it comes down to. And 2-1, one time racing downwind by E.T. Baird, as a Chicagoan say. Big man. And Vale Play says Howard's correct with Big Invasion. Look, like I said, pick one of the two. Hopefully you pick the right one. Paul, as I go to the last race here, which is an absolute, and again, I'm going to use my one French word of the day, an absolute clusterfuck of a race. Jesus Christ. I don't even you got to, and this is the one we actually landed on the same pick, but our other two are completely different. We're both going with the number 4 out for a run for Chris Davis and Irad.
So when I thought I could single Karatari, Kyle, my play on this race was going to be all. That's how much I like the PETA races.
Yep.
But when I thought I do have to keep Big Invasion around, I think I cut it down to 5 or 6 in this race. And look, it's Irad, Chris Davis, also known as the partner and fiance of Sophie Doyle, so he wins extra points for that, and father of cute little Emily. What are you going to say? I mean, that's the horse. He ran his best number on Tapeta. It was at Gulfstream. It was in one of those optional claimers. Outwork is really, as a sire, been better than his $10,000 stud fee. He's had some success. This is a modestly priced horse, $32,000. So, they went the maiden special route. That didn't work out at all. the last race is pretty good because, again, 7.5 furlongs on turf. That's a route, let's face it.
Yep.
So this is very much a cutback. And, maybe they accomplished what they wanted to, Kyle, the last race, which was to get this horse up on the pace. And now they're picking up the guy who's riding better than anyone right now to time it the way he wants to time it.
Yeah, I mean, you said exactly what I saw. Look, this horse is, you can argue whether there's a big drop from maiden 20 to maiden 12.5. There's realistically not too big of a drop, but it is a drop nonetheless. This horse ran its best number on the Tapeta course at a way higher class than this just before the championship meet, ran it at the end of December. Again, I like the blinkers on for this horse. To your point, Paul, I think the blinkers on denotes that they did get this horse to the lead, and now with the blinkers, they're going to try and be more aggressive, which putting IRAD only helps in that type of situation. And especially, like you said, the cutback as well. I think this horse might be able to show a little bit more speed, maybe some tactical speed, and IRAD will work out a trip from there. But I mean, other than that, like I said, the 64 is a pretty, it's not, but it's a pretty big number in relation to this field. There's not a whole lot of, there's not a whole lot of 60s in any of these horses, let alone, 50s. But like I said, if you can race back to that Tapeta race and hopefully use a little more tactical speed with the blinkers with IRAD on, I think this is the horse that might be able to be the best out of what's in front of them. You can only be who's in front of you. So, Paul, you're going with the number 10, actually, I believe is who was Beer Bali, correct?
I meant to be Stepstones. I might have counted wrong.
Okay, no worries, because I had Stepstones in third.
I think it is Stepstones. Yeah. I went with Kelsey Danner. I filled out my top three with two very good female trainers. Kathleen O'Connell, I think, set a record this week female trainers. Was it earnings?
It was
wins. I'm not sure.
Most wins of in the U.S., I believe, of female trainer ever. So
and Kelsey Danner is having a fantastic meet. Okay, 19%. I believe that's one of the trainers for our good friends at Crownsway. Correct?
It is correct. Yep, it is.
This horse goes to the lead 3 times, can't hold on. Those are turf routes. Now this is a Tapeta sprint. So you figure should be okay on synthetic. Had the one awful start on synthetic, but that was career start number 2. This is number 8. Coming off a bullet work. Kelsey's having a tremendous meet. And then my third pick, I think, why wouldn't you include a first-time starter in a race like this? I think on any play, I don't knowing nothing about the horse other than Kathleen is a good trainer. I think a first-time starter that shows any type of promise. Unfortunately, we don't have the benefit of the board, but I would be dying to include a first-time starter. And who's scaring away the first-time starter in this race?
Yeah, and like Howard always says, you're trying to pick a new face, a fresh face, and especially in a race like this where just absolutely nobody's impressing you at all. So I completely agree. I don't have her in my top 3, but I do have her included on my ticket. Like I said, it's just really nothing impressive about any of these horses in this race. And if this horse can take first time out, I believe Kathleen O'Connell has pretty decent numbers first time out, somewhere around the 16-17% mark, if I remember correctly. So there's nothing wrong with that, especially like I said, in a race where there's absolutely nobody that stands out. I have Stepstones in third, just to touch on one of our great trainers who trains Jay and all of our nicer horses. This is one of those angles where in a race where she's gonna have to overcome the post. The post is brutal, especially in a 5 furlong Tapeta sprint. But this horse has the speed to overcome that post position. If this horse can get out in front, I mean, like I was saying earlier about the turf race, if you get out, or the dirt race, excuse me, if you get out in front, a lot of these horses just don't like to pass. I mean, it's just the way it goes with these cheaper claimers. So I love that this horse has speed out. Horse is also owned by Kelsey. So like I said, bullet, like you noted, bullet work, 2 off of a long layoff is another angle that I like to play. And Kelsey is okay with that. I believe she just is about 10% or so off of that one. So, like I
I think
said,
it would be the 10 though, Kyle. Isn't this the
was it?
10?
Is it the 10? Did I miscount? I might have.
Count them
Let's
up.
see.
I think
1,
it's the
2,
10.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, oh no, 10. Wait, did I just do that wrong? Yeah, 10. That's my fault. I can't count. You couldn't count earlier. I can't count now, so it all works out.
Charles B in the chat likes Always Connected, who you use second, hot Kyle. So you probably want to touch on her.
Of course. As I bring back up the banners, I fixed it now. The 2, it is Always Connected for Zayas and Weaver. Again, this is just from a much more inside post. This horse turned back last time at the 12.5 for George Weaver and ran a really decent second to Juno C with a 56. And like I said, there's not too many horses that have reached that mid 50s to mid to high 50s buyer in this race. And like I said, just another point on the horses that go to the front, especially in these Tapeta sprints, or as I like to call it, Gulfstream Speedway, that if you can get out to the front, you have a stronger chance of winning than horses coming from the back on this surface, at least the way it's been playing at the championship meet. But another thing that you have to look for in races like this horse is actually entered earlier. This horse is entered, I believe, on Thursday. Yeah, on Thursday in the third race. So if this horse races on Thursday, you can pretty much bet on this horse not running on Saturday. So pay attention to that Thursday card. That again, that's race 3 on Gulfstream at Thursday. This horse is running in that. This horse will be out. And obviously, if you follow me on Twitter, my changes to my ticket will come in the form of a brand new tweet on Twitter. So be on the lookout for that. But again, that's just kind of my thing is this horse has got an inside draw. It's going to go most likely to the lead, and hopefully, he can just hang on with the turn back again. So, like I said, you had the first time starter, but again, this race is a shit show, frankly. It's just one of those races that you got to pick the best of the rest. And like I said, Paul and I are both going with the 4. We have the 10 in there. I have the 2. He has the first time starter, the 7. And Paul, we're going to go on to our pick 4s, right now. As I read them off, and you'll see the parentheses in there. That's just denoting the also eligibles in the first race that both Paul and I like if they do get in, and our ticket denominations will go up, as you'll see as I bring it up right now. Paul is going with the 2, 4, 9, but with the also eligibles if they get in, with 2, 5, 6, with 2, 9, with 2, 4, 5, 7, 10. That's a $45 ticket if no also eligibles get in, $6 if one, and $75 if they both get in. Paul, go ahead.
Or if they both get in and the other 2 horses that I like stay.
Well,
so
right.
In order to get them to get in, they have to be scratches, and we could have, one of those 3 could be scratched.
Right.
But yeah, I basically went with the 3 that I put first, second, and third. I like the 4. We talked about Missionaire, the 4 the best. But I would suspect in a race like this, I'll have 2 A's, if not 3. Yeah. If the also eligibles get in, at least one of them, I'll probably very likely have 3 A's. Mm-hmm. The second leg, those are the horses we talked about. I actually like 2, 5, but my picks with 2, 6, 5. Those are I think you can get by with those 3. And then again, not efficient, but because I cut down in the last race, I am going to use Big Invasion. I think I'm going to have some prices in the last leg, so I did go with both of them. And the last leg, I think it's the field's 11. I got 5, basically half. I started out as an all, and then I cut back to 6, and I landed on 5. But I do think there'll be, I think that 2 we talked about, Kyle, who, they bet the horse the last 2 times. I don't see the horse being 8-5 this time the way he was, because that was a pretty bad effort. Last effort was okay. So, I mean, they'll bet him, but the first time starter for Kathleen O'Connell, I don't think that horse is going to take a ton of money. So that's how I go about a Caveman. But if I play the sequence, I'd likely go ABC.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this is the type of sequence where ABC could really help you, especially with 2 of those, with the 62.50 claimer And with this race on the end, you can kind of spread out a little more with the ABCs and cover your ass basically in different ways. With my pick 5, I'm actually pretty similar. We just have a few different opinions, and I did single Karatari, as you'll see. Now, I went 2, 4, 10 with the 11 and 12 also eligibles, with 2, 3, 4, 5 with singling Karatari, and then I'm 6 deep. I'm 2, 4, 5, 7, 10, 11, which is 36 based on no also eligibles. If one gets in with my other 3, it's 48, and if they both get in with my other 3, that's $60 for the pick 4. And again, look, I think you can get by in the first race, hopefully with those 3. There's not a whole lot of other ones that scare me a little bit. Maybe like the one Spinzar for Shug on the turf for the first time, but that horse doesn't really have that much turf breeding at all, if I remember correctly. And then Rockstar Red is the 3 for Mott, who ran well last time, but coming out of that race, there was a horse that won, but he actually went down in Bayer. So like I said, I think you can get by with those 3, including the also eligibles that they do getting. Both Paul and I think that they are live. In the second leg, I went 2, 3, 4, 5. I included a 3 of the twins sneakers who had a really good effort last time out. But actually, for Happy Alter, one of my new favorite trainers based on the name alone, lost by 9 lengths to your 6. But I'm hoping with a little bit of a trainer change that can change, especially with the last effort that it showed with almost a 70 Bayer. I singled Karatari, but again, if you're playing more of a caveman, in my opinion, you have to pick one or the other. It's just the efficient way to do it. And again, when you guys are, you're looking at me with trying to break down the bankroll, you got to pick one or the other. So I'm going to go with Karatari, just being on the front end. And then the last race, God, who knows? I'm going 2 that we talked about. I'm going with the 3 as well, Sponger for Joseph Orseno and Miguel Vasquez. That one's also entered in that March 16th race. So again, be on the lookout for who races in that race.
You don't have the 3 listed.
Oh wait,
there,
no,
Kyle.
I don't. I'm blind today, aren't I? I'm not even close. 2, 4. Out for a run. The favorite, most likely, heading west with Lynch and Leperoux. Let's see, the 7, Heart of the Beast, the first time starter for O'Connell. And then 10, 11, I went both Stepstones for Kelsey Danner, and then Love Unlimited for Ernesto Ochoa and Chantal Sutherland. So, and again, I'm going with Karatari. Hopefully he can get out to the front and win. But if not, hopefully Big Invasions runs big for Paul, and then Paul can cash through on his ticket. But like I said, it's a tough sequence, especially with those 2 races intermixed in. The other 2, I think, are decently straightforward in a way, especially with the turf sprint. Although we all know what turf sprints can do, they're all completely over the place. But one last thing before we go, Paul, I'm going to mention this, which is, if everyone needs to listen up, because you're on the hook right now for a free $100 up for grabs. We're started a Bettin N Boozin NCAA bracket pool. It's all through ESPN. It's completely free to enter. It's all in the description. So there's a link in the description to our pool. All you'll have to do when you get onto the website is you'll click join group. As long as you're logged in, you click join group, and the password is also below in the description. It is just BNB Bravo November Bravo, all lowercase 2023. That's the password for the bracket pool. So if you're interested, and who wouldn't be interested in a free $100 if you win, if you have the most points at the end of the tournament, you will get a free $100 from both, a free $50 from both me and Howard, totaling $100. So again, if you're interested at all, like I said, when it comes March, everyone keeps their eye on the tournament. So why not play for a free $100? Again, everything is in the description, and I will keep pushing it out on Twitter just in case you miss today's show or you're watching afterwards and you miss this. But it'll be an absolutely fun time. I hope we get a lot of participation. Everyone joins, because again, who doesn't like free money as long as you win? So Paul, thanks so much for stepping in for Charlie and Patrick. I greatly appreciate all your help. I know you're a busy man nowadays, so I greatly appreciate, like I said, I greatly appreciate you hopping on and filling in for them.
Well, I'm happy to be here, Kyle. I'm looking forward to the tournament. Actually, I've been to Vegas this particular weekend many, many times. It doesn't work in my schedule because of my own basketball obligations, but I am looking at my bracket now, and I will be participating. Now that online gambling is legal in Massachusetts, I wasn't able to gamble prior to that.
Yep.
And I am very much looking forward to it. In fact, it's underway. We should say tournament.
Yep,
The first four is in game number 2 right now.
It is. Yep. But people, that's another thank you for mentioning the days, Paul, because it will close on Thursday when the tournament starts. It will close Thursday morning. So everyone, make sure you get your brackets in by tomorrow night if you want to be eligible for the $100, or at least because right when the games start, this tournament will lock and it will not be available. It's just the way I've said it. So nobody is getting in late after the first game goes through.
The Kyle pool.
Yeah, past post time when they go and run to the windows and play the horse. But
Kyle, just throw out 2 first-round picks that I like a lot.
Absolutely, go for it.
I love Providence over Kentucky, and this will be good for one of our guys who's not here. Penn State. Scott, is he on here tonight? I love Penn State. I like Penn State a lot over Texas A&M.
You're gonna piss off a lot of people that will most likely view this podcast. I know there's a lot of people from Kentucky in here, so you'll piss off some people with that one. But hey, they haven't looked very strong at all.
Yeah, and Providence is staggered. Providence lost their last 3, and they kind of played poorly in the last few weeks. But sometimes, Kyle, the teams that lose early in these conference tournaments do better. They get out of there, they go home, They go back to practice. You go to the conference tournament on Saturday and lose, you got a pretty quick turnaround for a Thursday game. I think Ed Cooley's a good coach. A little bit of a distraction. He's being talked about maybe going to Georgetown. But and you know what? I never liked Calipari when he had the best teams around, and I'm certainly not going to be afraid to bet against him. I'm a Big East guy, so I'm jaded a little bit. But I'm going Providence, and Micah Shrewsbury has done a tremendous job at Penn State, and I think they can carry that momentum into. That is the best first round game. Penn State and Texas A&M. Buzz Williams, first year at Texas A&M, terrific job. But those are my 2 first round selections.
Hey, I love it. And anytime, like you said, back in the Bettin N Boozin, back to our roots to give out sports bets. I love it. Howard's actually giving out his picks as well. 1 pick, take Auburn plus 1.5 versus Iowa on Thursday. Again, a lot of the Big Ten teams, I mean, realistically, other than Purdue and Indiana, who we can argue about, they might not even be that strong either. The Big Ten's look really weak.
And I love Bruce Pearl. I'm a Bruce Pearl guy. Bruce Pearl is from Massachusetts. He is. I love Bruce Pearl, and I have no problem. And McCaffrey is one of the biggest a-holes in the history of a-holes, the Iowa coach. So I'm all with Uncle. I'm certainly rooting for Uncle Howard to cash those tickets. And Michael Austin, that's why they play the games.
Yep, that's right. And then when
you can be rewarded, you can be rewarded for your opinion disagreeing with me.
And again, play the bracket pool, and you could be awarded for disagreeing with Paul if they both win and they end up going on. So play the bracket pool, Michael, and show how wrong that Paul is or how right he is. Either one, it works out. It's going to work out one way or the other. That's the reason there's 2 teams in the game. One wins and one loses. So, hey, I agree. Val plays. Charlie will be putting out his bracket and his like I said, all of our hosts, Pete will be in there I'm sure Pete will be in there. Howard will be in there. Charlie and Patrick, we will all be in there. So keep a lookout for our brackets as well. But no copying our brackets just because, you like Charlie's picks. You got to differentiate yourself to win that $100. You know that. But like I said, Paul, thanks again so much for joining in. I greatly appreciate it.
Pleasure, Kyle. Very much a pleasure.
It's been an absolute great show. And like I said, hopefully good luck with all your bets at Gulfstream on Saturday, and then good luck with all of your brackets that join into the pool. For my co-host Paul Halloran of the Saratoga Special, I'm Kyle Roscoe. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night, everyone. Good luck with all your bets.